You hum a song into your phone and a few seconds later the song magically appears. That's the power of music recognition. But that's literally witchcraft. How does that even work? So I dug deeper and eventually came across a secret formula behind how apps like Shazam recognize music. In a nutshell, Shazam scans through songs and looks for the main frequencies and when they appear. It then uses that information to create a unique pattern that can match a clip back to the original song. This all seemed pretty simple, so I decided to try recreating it myself. So I started with the first part of the process, finding the frequencies. I had to figure out how to get my code to take a song and extract the frequencies from it. So I started looking around for different ways to do this and pretty quickly found something called an FFT, or a fast Fourier transform. The math behind it gets complicated very quickly, but all I really needed to know was that an FFT could break a piece of audio down and tell me what frequencies were making up the sound. So I loaded a song into Python using Librosa, a library made for analyzing music. From that, I got the raw audio samples and the song's sample rate. Next, I split the audio into smaller sections of 4096 samples each. I then ran an FFT on each section, which showed me what frequencies are present and how strong each one was. Once I put the results from every section together, I could see how the song's frequencies changed over time. And when I actually visualized all of that data, I got this, a spectrogram. But there was a problem. There was way too much information. I didn't need every single frequency, only the ones that actually stood out. So I started looking into how I could filter the spectrogram down to just those stronger points, and that's when I came across something called spectral peaks. Instead of keeping every single frequency value, I could compare each point to the frequencies around it and only keep it if it was stronger than its neighbors. So all of this could eventually be reduced down to just a bunch of points. But even then, I was still getting way too many. Some of them were barely stronger than the surrounding frequencies, and a lot of them were just noise. So I added a minimum strength threshold and started tweaking it until most of the weaker points disappeared. Now I had the most important parts of the song, but I still needed some way to turn them into something I could actually search. This is where the fingerprinting part finally came in. Instead of storing each peak by itself, I started pairing peaks together. For each pair, I took the first frequency, the second frequency, and the time between them. Then I combined those three values into a hash. One song creates thousands of these hashes, and together they make up its fingerprint. Now I just had to use that fingerprint to recognize a song. So I recorded a short clip of the song and ran it through the exact same process. That gave me a new set of hashes. Then I compared those hashes against the fingerprints I'd already made. And if enough of them matched at the same relative time, I had my song. So after all of that, it was finally time to test whether this thing actually worked or not. I gave it the full version of Clair de Lune, then a short snippet from somewhere in the song. Then I ran the code. It worked, but obviously, since there was only one song in the database.
What did he say?
So next I'm going to add a bunch more songs and try it again. And it still found the right song. So now I wanted to make it harder. Instead of giving it the actual recording, what if I just hummed the song? The problem was, my current system was matching the exact frequencies and timing from the original recording. But when I hummed the song, the instruments were gone, my pitch wasn't perfect, and the whole sound was completely different. So instead of trying to match the full fingerprint, I started focusing more on the melody itself. I used pitch detection to estimate the main note I was humming at each moment, then turned that into a simpler sequence of notes over time. After that, I compared that melody pattern against the melody from each song in the database. The first few attempts didn't work. My pitch detection kept picking the wrong notes, so I smoothed the pitch and focused on the overall shape of the melody instead. Then I hummed Clair de Lune again. And this time, it actually worked. Not that I was surprised, my humming is basically indistinguishable from the original. At this point, my humming was close enough to the original melody that my code can actually recognize it. With everything finally working, I cleaned up the interface, added a few settings, and called it a day. It definitely wasn't perfect, but I learned a lot building it. Comment down below what I should try making next, and subscribe if you want to see me actually build it. See you guys in the next one, peace out.